You're probably planning to retire someday. A number in your head, an age, a finish line. Work until then, rest after. That's just how life works. Except it isn't. Retirement isn't ancient. It isn't natural. It isn't even old. And when it was invented, the math was designed so most people wouldn't survive to collect it. Here's the story nobody tells you. For almost all of human history, there was no such thing as retirement. People worked. Then they got too old or too sick to work. Then their family took care of them, or the community did, or they died. That was the system. Not cruel, just reality. Farmers farmed until their backs gave out. Craftsmen worked until their hands stopped cooperating. There was no pension, no savings account, no age when you officially stopped. You worked until you couldn't, and then someone else took over. The very idea of retirement, a fixed age when the state says, "You're done, here's money," is roughly 140 years old. It was invented by one man, in one country, for one very specific reason, and it had almost nothing to do with your comfort. The man was Otto von Bismarck, Chancellor of Germany in the 1880s. Tough, calculating, brilliant. Not exactly the warm grandfather type. Bismarck had a problem, a political problem. Germany had a growing socialist movement. Workers were angry, they were organizing, they wanted power. And Bismarck needed to cut that off before it became a revolution. His solution was calculated. Give the workers just enough that they'd stop listening to the socialists. Show them the government cared. Make them loyal. So in 1889, he introduced the world's first national pension system. Workers would pay in their whole career, and at a certain age, they'd get a monthly payment from the state. Germany called it old age insurance. The world called it revolutionary, and everyone copied it. But here's the part that changes everything. The age Bismarck set for collecting the pension? 70 years old. 70 in 1889, when the average life expectancy in Germany was around 45. Let that sink in. The retirement age was set nearly 30 years above what most people could ever reach. This wasn't generosity. This was accounting. If almost nobody lives to collect, the program costs almost nothing. And it still looks like a gift. Now, Bismarck wasn't stupid. He knew exactly what he was doing. There were some people who made it to 70, sure. Those were the ones who'd collect. But the system was never designed for the average worker. It was designed to look like it was. That's different. Fast forward to other countries picking up the idea. Britain introduced its pension in 1908. Age to collect, 70. Average life expectancy at the time, around 50. Same math, same logic. France, Sweden, the United States. One by one, they all built retirement systems. And in every single case, the age of collection was set close to or past the average life expectancy. The system wasn't built for the many. It was built for the few who beat the odds.
The United States introduced Social Security in 1935. The retirement age, 65. Average life expectancy for an American male in 1935, 58 years old. You read that right. The average American man was statistically dead before he could collect. Women lived slightly longer, so some of them made it. But the system was designed around a number most people couldn't reach. Now, something has shifted dramatically since then. Life expectancy has climbed. Medical technology changed everything. People started reaching 65 routinely, then 70, then 80. The math Bismarck built, the math where the state doesn't pay out very often, started breaking down. More and more people are collecting for more and more years. And that's the financial crisis quietly sitting inside every pension system in the world today. The original model assumed you'd be dead. You're not. Nobody planned for that. Here's the uncomfortable part. We kept the retirement age relatively fixed. We kept the idea that 65 or 67 is the right number, but we didn't keep the same relationship between that number and life expectancy. In Bismarck's time, the retirement age was about 25 years past average life expectancy. Today, in most developed countries, people retire and then live another 20 or 25 years. The math flipped completely. What started as a system designed so you die before collecting has become a system where you collect for a quarter of your life. And here's what that means for you right now. The concept you're planning your entire life around, save until 65, then rest, is 140 years old. It was designed for a world where most people died at 50. It was designed to serve a political goal, not your well-being. It was designed by a man who wanted to stop a revolution, not give workers dignity. Nobody sat down and decided that 65 was the natural age of rest. They picked a number that worked for the budget. Now ask yourself something real. If you knew that when you're done working, you might live another 30 years after that, what would you do differently? If you knew the finish line was invented to be out of reach, would you still trust it as the only plan? Some people hear this and think the whole thing is a scam. That's too simple. Pension systems have kept real people out of poverty. That's real. But they were never designed to be your whole strategy. They were designed to be a minimum floor. You were always supposed to build above it. The strangest thing about retirement is how recent it is. Your great-grandparents didn't have it. Their parents didn't have it. Farmers working the same land for 50 years had no idea what a pension was. And yet, in just over a century, the concept completely rewired how humans think about time. Now we divide life into the years you work and the years you rest, and we accept that as natural. It isn't. It's a policy, a political invention, and like all inventions, it can be redesigned. So the next time someone asks when you're planning to retire, pause for just a second, because the number you say is probably the number a 19th century German chancellor picked to serve a budget, not your life. He never met you. He didn't know how long you'd live. He just needed the math to work. And for a long time, it did, because most people died first.